Hi people, it's Archivist here, hope you're doing well, and today I have yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video for you, where we're going to be in the Fusion Festival. The great thing about this one is that I was able to use my original Red Eyes Black Dragon deck that I showcased on the channel. Did have to remove a couple of Xyz monsters as some largely redundant Link monsters anyway, but that deck was always largely focused around the Red Eyes Fusion monsters, specifically the ones that you can use Red Eyes Fusion to summon, and so taking this online I've felt an element of rejuvenation with the deck. When I first started playing with it, it did do quite well for me, but as I managed to climb up the ranks and get into gold and eventually platinum, unfortunately, the Red Eyes deck, it just didn't become that viable. It didn't have a lot of attack power, certainly wasn't able to one-turn kill anyone, at least with the deck I've got here. It had the ability to recover often from being wiped out, so there's a lot of resurrection capability, Red Eyes Spirit, Return of the Red Eyes Retro Dragon, but the thing is, if your opponent can wipe you out in a single turn, doesn't really matter what your comeback capabilities are. But luckily in these festivals, a lot of the more powerful cards are outright removed, and the extra decks being stripped down will often remove those most competitive strategies. So with this setting, Red Eyes really is working for me, and this is the second time this has happened. I also used a Red Eyes themed deck during the normal and rare festival. That did require more adaptations, and I had to focus it largely around the Red Eyes Archfiend of Lightning. So it wasn't quite the same as my original deck, but this one, it really is like the way I enjoy playing Red Eyes Black Dragon. I think Black Flare Metal Dragon is probably the Xyz monster I missed the most though. That did have some great burn potential. In terms of the major strategies, they're quite simple. If you have an opponent who's playing quite technical, Red Eye / Dragon is superb for negating effects. I did an entire video around Red Eye / Dragon because it's so versatile and so useful. But also, if you just need plain attack power with not a great deal of potential, Meteor Black Comet Dragon is fantastic. It's got 3,500 attack, which is pretty good in this festival. And furthermore, when you summon it, you can send a card from your deck to your graveyard, and then half of its attack power will be inflicted as burn damage. And then on top of that, when you lose your Meteor Black Comet Dragon, you can bring back something like a Red Eyes Black Dragon. So it's got some nifty effects, decent attack power, just doesn't have effect negation, which is so useful in a lot of scenarios, and that's why Red Eyes / Dragon is also pretty decent. And classic cards like the Red Eyes Retro Dragon, still fantastic in any situation, can bring back the field if you lose a bunch of level 7 or lower Red Eyes cards. And Archfiend of Lightning, that was absolutely crucial to my normal and rare strategy, but don't seem to be using it quite as much here, but it definitely still gets some love. I was originally planning to use Blue Eyes in the Fusion Festival. I thought that Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon would be a fun trump card to use. But the issue is, if your opponent is able to destroy it, be it card effect or just pushing their own attack power above it, because you have to commit so much to summoning it, and it's not got a nice deck searcher like a Red Eyes Fusion, it can leave you in a position where you don't always have much to recover with, and this is where Red Eyes does so well. In fact, it's my favourite element of the deck really, is there's a lot of ability to be knocked down but then bring yourself back. I might even say amongst all of my decks, Red Eyes is far from the best overall, but it perhaps has one of the best comeback capabilities, maybe only second to my Cyber Dragon deck. So one thing I will quickly talk about is that I have been making fewer videos on Master Duel. To some extent it's just because the initial burst of interest has gone a little bit. That's just the case of any game, right? It's very rare that I will play a game a couple of months on as much as I did when I first started playing it. It's more often a case that I'll move away from a game entirely, and then there'll be some updates that improve systems and stuff. I'll come back and play it a lot more again. So naturally there's an element of that. But also, while I'm finding these festivals to be very fun, varied, a good balance of challenging players, some that are fairly easy to beat, and then ones that's a really good mix-up, and also nice variety in these strategies, because people have to reinvent the wheel each time, which means that you don't just see the same thing constantly. But in the core multiplayer of Master Duel, it is getting to the point now, even in the Silver League, because I left it so long to play that I got, I think, kicked down twice. Even there, I'm finding the same meta decks constantly, and as much as they've been there since the beginning, it's now become relentless. And I think the situation is quite simply is that whereas initially it was people doing it who were just being competitive, naturally people have been beaten down by enough times that they do one of two things, right? Either they decide to leave and stop playing because it's not particularly fun anymore, or you adopt the mentality of, well, if I can't beat them, join them. And I'm not even necessarily being critical there, because it is a ranked mode of play. It is designed for competitive play, but the issue is that because there is no casual mode of play, unless you're counting as festivals, but there's no consistent casual mode of play, you're going to get casual players and competitive players in the same matchmaking system, which is just, it seems, if nothing else, unnecessary, because there should be no concerns about splitting the player base when it's a 1v1 dueling game across so many platforms. There should be no shortage of players in this game. So I've said it many times before, I would like some sort of a consistent casual mode, but it has got to the point now where if they don't introduce it, frankly, I'm going to turn up for the festivals, but I don't know how much I'm going to be playing the main game anymore, unless they do some really smart alterations to the ban list and the allowed cards, because it just gets fatiguing after a while. I'm sure many of you listening can relate to that. I mean, if you're completely happy, and more power to you if you enjoy just going for the meta and doing the most refined strategies. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's completely an allowed, and respectable way of playing a ranked game mode. But if you are playing it more for fun, you do kind of find, like, where is the fun in the main mode, unfortunately. So I will continue, I think, to do my best to come back for these festivals, because, again, I really unreservedly enjoy them. And furthermore, the great thing about this being a mobile game as well is that it is really good as a time killer when I'm commuting. So all the games you're seeing here, for example, I played them all on the phone when I was going to and from work, and then I've used my Xbox to capture the footage in better quality. That's really handy. But I'm definitely not playing the game as much as I used to when it first came out. Far from it, in fact. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you enjoying the Fusion Festival? Are you enjoying the core mode? What deck are you using for the Fusion Festival? As always, people, thanks very much for watching, and see you next time.